In case you haven't figured it out, there's restrooms down this hallway. 0315 is the code.
And it's written right on the door.
And I have a Sharpie. I could write it on your forehead if you want. Or hand.
But that doesn't help them because they can't see it.
Their neighbor could tell them. We're just going to go up live on YouTube right this minute. I believe, Sean, is that true? We're on? Hi, YouTubers.
We're on.
I think my wife, Jackie, is laying in bed blowing her nose right now, watching us on YouTube.
Hi,
She's
Jackie.
what? Hi, Jackie.
Well, between all the grandkids and the daughter being sick, and I've had a cold for a week from those goofy little grandchildren. Sean, can we show folks what those little
Monsters?
bug rats look like?
I said buglets.
Buglets?
Buglets.
Oh.
There's the new twins right there. And Lexi is here today, and her mom. Lexi used to be the executive director here, and what's going on over there?
Bridget's got her volume on. I'm going to double check mine.
Can we work on that, Bridget? Our show runs about 2 hours. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves.
Quietly.
And then till the end of the show when we need a couple of quiet minutes. Annie is busy back there making your breakfast. Thanks, Annie. I see you all got a muffin, but I got nothing. It's not unusual. Nothing with the muffin. Yeah. Muffin with a muffin. Oh, thank you.
I thought you were on a diet.
You wish I was on a diet. Maybe if you would stop dieting, you'd grow a little taller.
See how this is going to go?
What are we having for breakfast, Annie? Do you want to tell the folks so that they can leave now? All right. So for breakfast this morning, we have some chorizo sausages. We have a Spanish tortilla, which is basically almost like a frittata, potato, browned onions, and the egg, and then cooked slowly in an olive oil pan, browned on all sides. Very delicious. You get it in every tapas bar in Spain, essentially. And then we also have some ruby chard, where we cook the stems separately from the leaves. So we give the stems a 5-minute head start, because I hate throwing stuff away. Almost said a bad thing. Almost said a bad thing.
Oh.
And then we add the greens to the stems, and then it all comes out. But our secret ingredient is our fish taco spice, because it's got 3 different kinds of mild chilies and lemon and lime powder. So it's real citrusy and bright. So that's our secret ingredient. When you want to know, when you're eating the greens and you're saying, geez, I don't like greens, but these are fantastic, you'll know.
It's the stems. Game changer.
No, it's the taco spice.
Oh, the taco spice.
Oh, right.
Do I have to spell it out?
A few times.
Yeah.
And it's also quite delicious when you rim your margaritas with it.
Ooh.
That's true.
It's really good.
Margarita
I
rim.
sprinkle some in my margarita.
Do you? Yeah.
I like that little salt hit.
Sounds delicious.
All right. Shall we get started?
Yeah,
Let's get
let's do
started.
it.
All right.
Richard, are you going to be audience motivator with the clapping?
I'm in Terry's hot seat.
Okay.
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio, coming to you from the gorgeous Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle. We have a lively audience this morning. I think it's only because they just got a hot blueberry muffin out of the oven.
And it's so good.
And my co-host today sitting in Terry's chair. You know, that's his chair for a year. You and Loretta have to earn that chair.
I know.
Because he had it for 25 years. So
25 years?
pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
So Bridget Charters is here today. She's one of the
Hey, Tom.
great instructors here at the Hot Stove, doing lots of classes.
Yep.
And you're doing a series here called Cook the Book, right?
So much fun. Love
Is
that.
Yeah. No, I will tell, when people ask me, how did you learn how to cook? Because I didn't go to culinary school. I didn't go to college. I didn't do anything normal that way. But I cook the book. Even at Cafe Sport, I was cooking the book, and it taught me so many things about people's technique. And it also helped me cook through a book. So you get to know a chef
Right,
through
right.
the book rather than just one recipe.
Well, and certain books are awesome for that, right? I did the same for baking and pastry and stuff. Was I'd cook the books, start at the beginning, go to the end, cook every single recipe.
So you that Julia and Julia
approach.
where she went all the way through mastering the art.
100%.
I mean, that is ridiculous. That is a hard.
That
book.
was a bit much. Yeah,
That's
no,
a hard book
I
to
picked
cook
and choose, but like Carol Field, for example, she wrote The Italian Baker, and I wanted to learn all that stuff. So, so that one was a start to finish. Yeah, it was flour and water.
You know, we had her on this show 25 years ago,
Wow.
whatever it was, when she came out with a book. And we've had so many authors over the years come through when they were on book tour in town. Of course, now it's too expensive. They don't necessarily come through. I
Right.
try and explain that to people. If, you know, when I had my book out, I would go to Miami, say on book tour, and it's hard to sell enough books to pay for a hotel room and a plane ticket and all that kind of thing. Emerald could do it. Mario could do it. But for me, not so much. So I had to backfill kind of sort of.
Tax write-off.
Well, it doesn't really work that way when you have plenty of tax write-offs.
Oh, got it.
But what I did was I made it part of my circle. So when I'm in Miami doing local TV, I do a class at a grocery at a cooking like cookware shop, like a Sur La Table type place. And then I make a call on a customer, like Publix Markets, to see if they'll carry my spice rub. And then in the final payback is when people from Miami then are visiting Seattle, they would always come to one of my restaurants because we got to know each other a little bit. So
that's awesome.
That's just kind of how that worked for me, that my little circle of life. Okay, this week's show, we're going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day a little bit early because you got to get started on your corned beef.
That's right.
If you're taking the dive into making your own corned beef, which I've only done once in my whole life.
I'm surprised.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, we had Market House corned beef here.
Right.
Why bother?
Oh, that's
It's
true.
the best. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Creamy coconut and clam chowder. Jackie made clam chowder the other night. Never made clam chowder. She came home and said, we're having clam chowders. Like, what brought that on? That's never happened before. Well, I've got cooked potatoes in the fridge. And that's what spurred
Mashed
her.
potatoes.
No, it's like they were like roast 7 seed potatoes she and Dev were tasting. And so there was just all these cooked potatoes. And that's how her mind clicked onto clam chowder.
Well, did she have?
It would never have happened to me.
Does she have the cold that you have now, and maybe that's why she?
Now
thought
she
of it?
does.
Oh.
We're going to take a pork loin roast from ordinary to extraordinary.
I got you on this one.
Do you? You think so?
Big time.
Here's where I think I got you. I know the best cut to buy for a pork loin roast, and it's not a pork loin. Does that make
then you're
sense?
cheating.
Well, I'm just saying life's too short to eat boneless, skinless pork loin. Why bother?
He's talking shoulder.
Why bother?
You want the fat.
Let's tell people what the real deal is. You have to. We're going to talk about plant-focused cultures, cuisines, and dishes. So some cultures, I think of Indian food being
Me
that
too.
way a bit.
They eat the least amount of meat.
Just a lot of vegetarians there, and so and they seem to be
there
thriving
is?
just fine.
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of them,
Yes.
and so vegetarian food doesn't kill you. So to me, it's a good alternative. A couple of nights a week to go vegetarian, because I still like
A big old meaty steak. Let me tell you.
Yeah, just that is just one of my things. Simple to spectacular. Today's recipe. If you've been following along with our series from Thierry's book called Rovers, you know we've been celebrating his life through his recipes. And if you've been following along in our series, I try to explain, Bridget. I try to explain what he's telling us to do. It's difficult in a 10-minute segment.
Well, and I did some editing on this recipe last night.
Kind of sort of have to. So today we're going to make a terrine of Sonoma Valley foie gras, and we're gonna kill it.
Yeah, we should do it.
Yeah.
Make
well,
one.
we are going to do it. Okay, it's Girl Scout season. Your son doesn't sell Girl Scout cookies, does he?
Well, a girl knocked at the door and he did a Tom Douglas and bought a case of mixed
Aw.
flavors.
Really? Let me guess with whose money he did that with.
Exactly.
Exactly.
He goes, they'll be by in March, and can you have a check ready?
If he did a Tom Douglas, he would buy a case of every flavor.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Don't-
I kind
don't
of miss
forget.
those days, Tom. They used to be on the back counter here, and there'd be like a mixed box.
I used to put them out. Pre-COVID, we used to put them out at the host stand. People would just help themselves to a Thin Mint or Samoa or whatever it was. And now with we're also aware of people reaching in. Like we don't even do our pistachios at Palace anymore because it was a communal bowl of pistachios.
Right.
And it's so sad because that was one of our most popular things.
I know. Weren't you supporting Colleen's daughters? Were they Girl Scouts? Who were the Girl Scouts?
Everyone in our company hit me up for cookies. One year I had 72 cases of cookies. Yeah. That's a lot of cookies.
You're very generous.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to wrap up our show today with food for thought, tasty trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. Okay, Bridget, it's your turn.
All
Let's
right,
jump
go.
into your taste of the week.
Oh, man. So it's related to the later segment, but this past week we had the Les Dames d'Escoffier in here at Hot Stove. They were farmers chatting, and I decided Charlie's was super generous and donated all the produce for the evening, and so I got cases of stuff. But I did, and Jackie was going to be here, and I was scared that
Jackie, my wife, Jackie
Cross, yeah, she was one of the speakers on the panel. It was great. And I was worried that you were going to be here. So I was like, oh, man, I got to come up with a bang-up menu. So I did a hortapita pie.
You're supposed to do that whether I'm here or not, Miss
I know.
Charters.
But I wanted it like really crazy, amazing.
Knock your socks off.
Yeah. And so I did
It's really because your peers were here. Let's be
It's
honest.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. But I was worried.
Uh-huh.
So I did a hortapita pie, which you can buy the box phyllo at the grocery store in the freezer section. Remember, we were talking about greens. You could saute greens with Tom's taco spice or the veggie rub. Those get sauteed, and you cool them down, and you lay those in the phyllo with feta and herbs, and you bake it.
And so you're making it more like baklava layers rather than like a terapita where
there's
kind of
only
make
2
little
layers of the
triangles.
veggies, but there's like 10 layers of phyllo with lots of delicious butter and that fresh feta in between. And we baked it off, and it was gone.
It was gone.
There was these ladies came up for seconds. That's pretty good.
These ladies have been around.
Yep.
And they're foodies from way back.
But it was
Had they ever
delicious.
seen such a thing? Did they come up to you, Bridget, and say, Bridget, this is so good. I want the recipe.
I had a few. But it was one of those just easy things that's so good. It's vegetarian. You could do it in a pie pan.
Did you use chard or did you use spinach?
I did. I used chard, and I got a bag. I cheated and got a bag of organic spinach. And it was great. Saute a few onions.
That's one of my favorite things is saute greens. So that would be right up my alley.
Yeah, and you could grab leftover veggies from the fridge. We always have cooked broccoli in the fridge. You could whack that up.
I think the
and throw
big
that
thing
in
about
there.
something what you just did is you really have to wring it out because you don't want to sog out your phyllo dough.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Good.
I didn't bother wringing it out.
Sounds tasty.
It was delicious.
I'll tell you, I think I even said on this show a week or two ago that Jackie was one of the COVID bread bakers, and so she's kept her sourdough starter going. And frankly, I can't take any more bread. But so she's been doing other things with it. Tonight, I think she's making like a Detroit style pizza crust with it. But last week she made waffles. The grandkids were coming over. She made waffles out of it. But of course she's like most people, can't make just a batch. It has to be like there's 100 waffles. So we just put them in the freezer, cooked them off, put them in the freezer, and I've been toasting them in the morning with a little bit of that CB nuts.
I was just going to say
sea
peanut
salt
butter.
Peanut butter. And
Man,
here's the thing: you have to put butter on with the peanut butter.
How come?
I agree.
That is the key.
My husband.
Terry used to say that about like cheese, right? He'd get the baguette, he'd spread it with butter, and then he'd put his cheese on top. That's it. Always. That was
awesome.
a no argument there.
My husband was horrified the other day. I put butter down on that delicious bread and then put peanut butter, and he was just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need a new husband. That
Jack
is that is unacceptable.
I know Jack Spratt could eat no fat.
Yeah.
That's him.
That's him.
Yep.
Yeah. Send them on.
Okay.
Bridget.
All
Time
right.
to find
Are you
new,
listening, Chris?
time to find a new mate. And salted butter at that, for God's
Oh,
sake.
man.
Yeah.
Put a little
Exactly.
Maldon on there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, got me all. You gave me chills with the Maldon. All right. So, corned beef and cabbage next, shall we?
Yes.
Well, let's
Oh,
just,
man.
we're going to focus on the corned beef, but don't forget about the cabbage. It's a super important ingredient, and it doesn't just have to be boiled to nothing. Get over it. Do some roasting. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show,
Ah.
97.3 FM. That's my new husband. John, you're single, right? You like butter, right?
Look at him. Jack Spratt could eat no fat.
Oh, yeah.
Sugar. Sugar. That's funny. I know. Chris is right. I should avoid all the butter that I do.
Well, is it grass fed? So it's got the omega-3
Yep.
in it. There you go.
It's so delicious. I know those good fats they talk about.
Yeah.
Well, olive oil's good. I mean, I was thinking one day I did the CB nuts with the salt and I drizzled extra virgin olive oil on it.
Yeah. On the sea something bread.
The Sea Wolf
Sea Wolf. Yes.
olive oil brioche.
Peanut butter and bread is enough to make your mouth dry enough to actually
It's true. It's true. Or you get the Bon Mama raspberry jam. That's so good. That's the best. I'm a raspberry jam freak, and apricots. No? What's your favorite jam?
If I'm going to buy jam, I like marmalade.
Really?
Yeah, I just finished a jar of yuzu marmalade
Oh,
on one of the waffles.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend
marmalade.
to, I like
Interesting.
freezer jam. I grew up on freezer jam.
Yeah, Chris's mom, she passed away a few years ago, Lucy, and she used to make freezer raspberry jam.
Oh.
Even when she was in her assisted living place, like, boom, 20 jars had come over.
Nice.
So we saved one. It's in the freezer.
All right, you ready, set? How was the first
Yeah.
segment?
Oh, we got clapping. Very good.
Boy, that's just pandering right there. That's what that is.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, why not?
It's, it's cheerful for the listeners, in the car.
All right, here we are back in the Hot Stove Studios here in downtown Seattle. You should come to a staycation sometime right down here. Maybe today, let's do that. Let's give away a room and breakfast at Lola today.
Sounds lovely.
Oh, wow.
What does
You
someone
have,
have to
Becky,
do?
our producer, now has 3 segments. What? So let's announce it on our first segment of our second hour.
Perfect. Okay.
You have a couple of segments to think about what our contest is going to be.
Awesome.
And you can come do a staycation, and you'll get 2 tickets to the radio show and a night here at the Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle. That life could be worse. You know what I do when I go to a hotel just for the night? Because you just need a break.
You trash it. No,
I
I'm just
No.
kidding.
Yeah, I'm like a bad rock and roll dude. Yeah, no, I just take the longest shower ever. Because in hotels they have endless hot water.
Water's expensive these days.
Well, it's not. It wasn't about that so much. It's about not running out your tank.
that's true.
And there's nothing that makes me feel more wealthy, more rich as a human than
Than
a
a
hot
hot
shower.
shower.
It makes me think about Ukraine. It makes me think about all the tough places in
How
the world.
fortunate you are.
Yeah,
It's a luxury for sure.
it is the biggest luxury. So if you're in a luxury hotel, that's my way of finishing the deal.
Oh, I'm a big bath, long
Soaking bath person. Yeah, there you go. All right, let's make some corned beef and cabbage, Bridget. Have you
Okay.
made corned beef before? Let's start there.
hundreds of pounds.
Really? Okay,
Hundreds
so
of
then I'm going to
pounds.
defer to you to talk about the process.
Okay. So corned beef is the history on it. Corned, the term refers to the size of the salt grain. That's what it means. So corned beef is that it's that corning salt, which is the large, coarse salt. And back in the old days, they would pack meat in barrels for the long ocean runs.
Mhm.
And the corned beef would be packed with spices. Not the corned beef, just sides of beef, whatever meats. They
Wasn't
corned up.
necessarily brisket.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, whatever. And it all got packed in the barrels with an abundant amount of salt and spices in between.
Mhm.
And then when they were going to eat it, they would pull it out. And we ran a test at the Art Institute when I was teaching there and did it with a couple of sides of brisket and just did salt and did spices and put it in like a big Cambro and put it in the refrigerator in the vegetable walk-in, which was a little bit warmer than the other walk-ins,
Mhm.
and just let it go. And they were like, get this out of here. But there wasn't a lot of smell, but it had this odor that it, off-gassed. Yeah. It was really
I think it's
interesting.
a fantastic smell. Did you ever go in the Market House over on Hull and Olive
No.
when they were
You
doing?
mentioned that. Yeah.
They would have 100 barrels of beef curing for St. Patrick's Day. Of course,
Isn't
I
that
bought it
amazing?
year
Yeah.
round for my corned beef hash down at Etta's.
Mm.
But yeah, people would line up down the street to get it for
Oh, really?
St. Patrick's
Now they're
Day.
gone?
I'm confused about where they are now. So maybe they'll listen
Maybe
to
they're
this
in
show.
Kent. Oh, there
Okay,
you
so
go.
now we've got a.
So, you've
So
got
in
your
our
meat.
world, it's going to be a 5-gallon bucket, right?
Yeah. So
And you're going to have a gallon of water, and you're going to make a brine.
correct. And so a brine is 2 parts salt to 1 part sugar is your typical brine. And what you can do
So
is
how much water? 1 gallon.
to 1 gallon
Yeah.
of water. Easy peasy. And for you guys, make it easy on yourself. Go down to someplace like Cash and Carry. I think it's called Chef Warehouse, and just buy one of the tubs of pickling spice, because that's essentially the ingredients, with maybe a few extra peppercorns
Uh-huh.
and some bay leaves.
Yeah.
And so all you have to do is maybe put half of that tub of spices, which is what is it, about a
8
pint?
ounces, I think, is.
Yeah, 8
Yeah.
ounces is good. Just put it in with the salt and the sugar in a little pot of water, say a quart of water.
I think you need more.
No, you do need, well, I mean,
Oh,
if you
so you're
just
going
do
to
a
bloom
quart,
this. You're going to bloom the spice.
bloom the spice and melt the salt.
Okay.
Can
Yeah.
you explain what bloom the spice is?
So what you want, those spices are dry, so you need to get some flavor going.
And
on
might
them.
have been dried for years.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Correct. It's correct. You are true on that. So you want to just cook it so that they start to release their wonderful flavors. It's allspice. It's coriander.
Right, which is all about oil, right? Releasing the oils.
Yeah, those essential oils. So anyway, you just let it cook, let it simmer like you're making tea. Once everything's melted, then you just turn the heat down super low and let those spices go. And then what you can do is augment. You said a 5-gallon bucket, so you can augment with some cool tap water and then ice to get it to cool down so it's safe.
Right. Yeah, you want to get it off the heat, put ice in, and even if the ice doesn't melt right away, it will melt while you're brining over 5 days, right?
Correct. Correct.
So now I've got a 5-gallon bucket. I've got a 15-pound brisket in there. It's been lightly trimmed, not crazy trimmed, because you want some of the
You
fat
want
when you're
that
cooking
fat,
it.
yeah.
But there is sometimes, especially on the the prime briskets you can buy at Costco, there is sometimes a thicker layer of fat that you don't need. One of the things that people make a mistake on is they season, let's just say even a ham, right, that's got the skin on still. They season the whole ham with the skin on, and then when you go to serve it, you cut the skin off, and all that seasoning goes away.
It's gone.
Same way with the fat on a brisket. If you season all that fat and then you cut it all away,
Right.
it's, you want to season what you're going to eat, essentially.
Correct. Right. So
5-gallon bucket, gallon of water, 2 cups of salt, 1 cup of sugar, 8 ounces or 4 ounces of pickling spice that has been bloomed.
And if you run it shorter, if you run it a shorter period of time.
Okay, so now what? Now we've got this bucket with the brine that has to be cold. So I have a refrigerator in my garage. I'm going to do it in my fridge, and I wouldn't personally suggest anyone not do it in a fridge. If you want to experiment
I
on,
was just gonna say,
if you want to experiment
it's
on
so
your
cold. Put it out in the garage.
well,
it can be as warm as.
whoa.
Okay,
We
sorry,
have a
we don't want to make you
responsibility
guys
here.
sick.
Exactly. So you can tell them that, but that's not what I would do.
Correct.
Just so that we're clear, I would do mine in the fridge. Bridget would kill you in the garage. I just have a show to
Well,
protect.
and the other thing I want to say is that when you get like a full brisket, if you were to go down to Cash and Carry instead of Costco, those briskets, they're big. So you can cut them in half.
Yeah.
I like to stack them in that barrel of ice and brine.
And so when you're thinking about a brisket, there's two parts of it. There's the nose, which is kind of the lump on top, and then there's
Yep.
the flat, which is fairly obvious when you look at it. When you cook them whole, that fat layer between the nose and the flat helps base the whole project. And there's the nose is often marbled beautifully. So
Right.
when people say, do you
It's
want a
such
fatty
good
brisket
flavor,
sandwich or a lean brisket sandwich, the fatty brisket is always coming from the nose of the brisket.
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay, so now we got corned beef. It's been
It's
5
corning,
days.
yeah,
Yeah,
so-
5 days is
Yep.
about right. Now, I'm not a rinser. Are you a rinser?
Yes.
Like when you pull it out of the brine, I'm not a rinser.
If for some reason I've left mine run longer, or what I like to do is just trim a little piece of the meat off and
Uh-huh.
I sear it and taste it. It doesn't need to be rinsed because it's going to be simmered in water. So it's
Well,
already
maybe. Yeah.
it's already been pre-seasoned.
Yeah. Do you refresh the spice when you go
Always.
to roast it in the oven? I
You-
put mine in a Le Creuset type of really large Le Creuset with
brazier.
a lid,
Oh.
and I don't add water because
Ah.
the meat is so full of moisture that when you just put the lid on, it just drains out of the meat. But it can get salty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like to simmer it.
Okay.
I
So
like-
you simmer it on the stovetop.
I simmer it on the stove. Well, I get it simmering on the stovetop and do what you do, and I move it to the oven, but it's in liquid.
Okay. Because I like a little touch of brown. Let's get to, now we've got to cut. You cut against the grain.
Correct.
And for me, when I cut it, I cut the nose off and slice that separately because the
Yeah.
grain's going in opposite direction.
Pull
than
out
the
that
fl-
big lump
the
of
flat.
fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then because I'm braising it and there's moisture there, the meat, when it's done, I set that aside and I tent it with some foil and let it rest. And then I tie my wedges of cabbage. I have my turnips all trimmed up. I have my
Uh-huh.
carrots, my celery, my potatoes ready to go in that water. And so they absorb all that nice flavor.
So you're doing more of a New England style boil, whereas I'm just doing more of a dry roast.
Irish style.
Irish style.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Cabbage. Quick note on cabbage. I am a big Savoy cabbage person.
I love Savoy. Yeah.
And so to me, it's just not even close as far as the quality of flavor when you're cooking the cabbage, what you end up with.
It's true. But you mentioned roasting. So I want to hear about that because I don't normally.
Well, I only have a minute, but a big saute pan, and I'll put lots of butter in it, in olive oil, and then I'll literally dry roast from there, just like I would roasted broccoli, roasted cauliflower, anything like that.
Yeah.
But people don't think about doing it with cabbage, and it works beautifully. It caramelizes. There's plenty of sugar in cabbage that it caramelizes on its own, and then you just flip it halfway through, and
oh, so it's brown.
brown on
and-
both sides.
Ah.
Yeah.
Can you do that in the oven?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's
Different.
delicious.
I'll do
Well-
that this year.
And then the sneak thing, I'm sure the Irish did this all the time, but I use a little bit of Vietnamese fish sauce on it. It's a very Irish thing to do.
It would be Worcestershire.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've made corned beef, let's make some clam chowder. Why don't we?
Oh my God.
Okay, on Cairo Radio, it's the
All
Hot
right.
Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. How are those teeny weenies? Really good, aren't they?
These are delish. Mm. Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
You guys notice Annie made you breakfast and then she's eating something else for breakfast because she didn't She didn't trust her own cooking.
I did point that out. I did point that out to her.
What's Annie having back there? Is that bean dish? Oh, Mendocino.
What is
Oh, really?
What is the name of the meat market?
Market House.
Market House.
You can look it up.
Here, I can look.
There was a time when they kind of got forced out of their space, I thought.
Market House.
Um,
It happened, but I know. Yeah. How's your stomach, Tom? Market House, Seattle. Well, and Bavarian Meats had a pretty decent. Market House Meats, Howell Street, Seattle. Yeah. Market House Meats website. We are a great place.
Clam tartare.
They're open 8 to 4. All right. Oh, here we go. Shop. Pastrami and corned beef by the pound. $13.99 a pound raw. Corned beef $13.99 a pound raw.
Ugh. Look at Sean's face. There's a look of terror on his face. Sean, you gonna taste them? Ah! There's only 5 cans up there, and there's 6 jars.
So that means
One's a house clam.
Oh, that's great. That's a big scoop.
That looks like the homemade clams there, the first jar. Is that? Yeah. You know, the producer usually jumps in too.
Oh, did it? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we have Annie give her opinion too.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah. Wow. Epic. Yeah, you could do a 1 through 5. How are you rating yours?
Annie, are you jumping on a mic? Can you get a hacksaw and cut the mic down for us, please?
Can you raise it there?
All right, here we go. All the clams are tasted.
Good shot.
You're going to do a quick run through on what we're tasting. Okay. Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society show.
Here we go.
My goodness. Sometimes we do things above and beyond just for our listeners. You know, we often have our Hot Stove Society tasting panel. This morning we're doing it on cold canned clams. Thank you, Becky.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. You have such a grin on your face right now, like you've just done an evil torture and are proud of it.
Well, some are good and some are torture.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So before we get all going here, if you're watching online on our YouTube channel, if you're not, you should be. But if you are, it's Tom Douglas and Co. Just go to there and you can get onto our YouTube. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost a penny. What do we have here? What's in front of us? And why did you do this to us?
Well, I love clam chowder.
Do you?
And a friend brought some over the other day, and he dug his own clams at Whidbey Island, and it was delicious. And I usually use canned clams, and I thought, so I made my own, and so I did Tom Douglas style. I did my own little tasting panel with 3 different ones. And then today I thought we're doing 6, and one is fresh, so I'll run through them. Do you have your favorites?
Well, the favorite one to me that tasted the most and looked the best was the number 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't know at the time that was the Penn Cove clams, the fresh. But it was nice to see what I thought was a canned clam, like a whole intact, beautiful clam, rather than a big chopped pile of mush.
Right. Well, I tried to chop them pretty consistent because 2 of the ones at the end were whole clams.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Well,
so
there's some chopped ones in there that look a bit like cat food.
Yes, they are. So I'll run through them. So number 1 is the Penn Cove that I just steamed last night myself. And I did add a little wine, little water. Let that
Unfair advantage.
No, because I only used ingredients that are in the other ones.
Okay.
I didn't use TSP and all that stuff. So I figured a little wine.
So you used disodium pyrophosphate?
No, I ran out. So that's the clams and their juice, water, a little wine, and a little lemon juice because another one had lemon juice in it, and a little bit of sea salt. And I mean, they're delicious.
Okay.
They're
they are.
delicious.
And now I know, you can actually do it the day before, but it was a lot of work. And a little trick is I took a grapefruit spoon and to get the little just to get every little bit out of it. They came out quickly. That was my trick. Number 2 is Natural Sea and their source in the Atlantic Ocean, and their clams, clam juice, and salt. So that's pretty straightforward. Number 3 is Bar Harbor from Maine, clams and clam juice, lemon and sea salt. And the next 3, well, the snows I like. They're clams, water, sugar, salt, TSP to retain natural juices, and calcium, disodium, EDTA to protect color.
TSP is trisodium phosphate. So that's the thing I avoid like crazy because it's like what you see scallops plumped up with.
Exactly.
It's what you see the Indonesian crab meat plumped up with. But as soon as you cook it, that moisture just drains right out and you have soup.
And when I drained these, you saw that white milky stuff. So the last 3, and then there's Snows, then Bumblebee from Indonesia, and Crown Prince from Indonesia. And I think those both have a lot of
stuff in them.
A lot of stuff in them.
Yeah.
So now I've learned if I ever use those, I would rinse them. I wouldn't use the nectar in there because the nectar is just chemicals.
Yeah.
There you have it. So that's the 6. What did you guys?
Well, there's a couple of things about using fresh clams to me, which is if you want to make your chowder base. See, I'm not a big thick. Even though we make a big thick chowder down at Seatown, and people love it, and I love it. But if I'm making it at home for just Jackie and I'm more of a straight cream person. So I'll take my cooked potatoes, my celery, some bacon bits, some carrot, things like that. Make a base, and then I'll just pour in the clam nectar from the steamed clams that I made, and I'll pour in some cream. And now I've got my whole clams. The shells look beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can do it with mussels, clams, and now that's what I consider a homemade clam chowder. You can get the other stuff anywhere, anytime, but to have that beautiful, fresh, homemade clam in the bowl chowder,
pretty.
that's what it has to be for me.
It's a luxury. It's a luxury. We're here in the Pacific Northwest with some of the greatest fisheries that produce beautiful shellfish. I mean,
Yeah, but a lot of clams, chopped clams for clam chowder, are made from cherry stone, big clams, or
Right.
even big
right.
razors, or big,
The horse clams.
Yeah,
or-
they're not necessarily intended to be these teeny perfect little clams.
Bridget, where'd you fare on these?
Well, I like the flavor of the first three, and one was delicious because you could taste the lemon. It was
Mhm.
wonderful, and the you could taste the salt and you could taste the clam. I felt the same way about the second one,
Mhm.
but then the third one was really chopped up, and I don't do that to my clam chowder.
Mhm.
I'd prefer it whole.
And that was a chopped clam.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, because that clam most likely was the size of your fist
Well, and
when
I
it
understand.
wasn't chopped.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that because we got a place up in the San Juans, and we'll get those big horse clams, and you just cut out the belly. You've got all that meat, but I'll
Yeah.
still make the pieces a little bit bigger.
Uh-huh.
You
Right.
know,
Annie, what'd you think?
And so Annie Elmore, the executive director here, who made everyone's breakfast this morning, is joining us for this conversation. Hi,
Thank you.
Annie.
Hi, Tom.
So you did you have a favorite of the clams?
I mean, I think number one is definitely the best one because
Uh-huh.
that nice lemony, acidic, taste fresh, not like, not fishy or clammy
Mhm.
like the last one that we tried. That was pretty
Wow.
bad.
And you
Yeah.
started there. I felt bad.
Yeah,
for
I
you.
know. I didn't know why I started at the end, but well, but I got up to the good one. The one that like Bridget was talking about how it chopped up. Honestly, I thought it was tuna because it was so chopped up that the meat kind of broken apart.
Mhm.
So it has a little bit of that tuna texture to it.
and flavor, right?
Yeah.
So that's the natural sea one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
or harp. Yeah, the Maine. They should have. I won't be negative.
Well, Becky, you said you chopped some of these yourself, right?
I did, so that they were all the same because the last two, the bumblebee and the crown prince, were full clams,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't want you to have to eat a full clam.
Thank you for
Oh,
that.
that was so nice. Of you.
Okay, so let's go into the process now. I told you how it would make a fresh clam chowder. Do you
I'm-
have my guess is you make a more traditional New England style clam chowder. Is that true or not?
No, I like the broth based.
Okay.
Clam chowder. So
Are you a Manhattan or New England?
I'm the original New England clam chowder that it all comes from the tripod off the dock. So they would just dump the fish and meat, and that's how clam chowder came to be. They throw in a few rashers of bacon. So it's like Tom said, that same start: bacon, celery, onions, get it going, add the clams.
If
and
you
then-
were to make a traditional clam chowder with a roux base, essentially is what the difference is, right?
Mhm.
So
correct.
Yeah.
a flour and butter base, and then you start to build from there. How would you go about it? Annie, do you have a favorite way to make clam chowder? Or have you ever made it? It's not your culture necessarily.
It's not, but funny enough, when I first moved to Seattle, Gooey Duck, a friend of mine, worked at a hatchery,
Uh-huh.
and then he got me 10 pounds of it.
Oh.
And I never made clam chowder before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make gooey duck clam chowder because I saw the recipes online. And it was the best thing ever.
Really?
And I was like, and then now eating like the real clam chowder with just the regular clams isn't really a thing for me, but
Uh-huh.
gooey duck
Mm.
clam chowder is the way
And
to go.
you think it's because they're a little stronger flavored? Is that why you like
I
it?
think so, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it also has a sweetness to it as well.
mhm.
And then also gooey duck, we get it here in the Pacific Northwest, where the neck you can use it as ceviche, you can use it as like crudo, and then the bottom, the
body,
body parts,
yeah.
where not a lot of people think about it, but that's really perfect for clam chowders.
Mm.
And also, like if you smash it and you deep fry it too, it like
Oh.
makes this delicious kind of like fried clams in a way.
Yeah,
Oh.
in a
Yeah.
big way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds great.
I mean, that's to me is what Pacific Northwest. And of course, I like mine kind of thicker. I don't like mine thin
Uh-huh.
like your.
And are you using just a regular flour and a butter roux to thicken your?
Yes,
Okay.
but I like milk, not cream. I don't.
So
like,
you like the Ivers style?
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
I have a little trick. Our friend who brought us this clam chowder, he said it's gluten free and dairy free, and okay. And he soaked cashews overnight, and then I think in chicken broth or
Wow.
something, and then pureed with an
No,
immersion
no.
blender.
Couldn't be in Oh, gluten-free dairy. Okay.
Yeah, and then
That's awesome.
he did a lot of mirepoix, so a lot of the celery, carrot, onion, and then you puree that a little bit too to thicken it. And it you couldn't tell, and it was so delicious.
Really?
So
But-
you used his mirepoix puree as a thickener rather
Yes.
than using flour, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
not uncommon.
Yeah, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
And then I got his recipe. I made the same thing with canned clams, and then I froze it, and then I
And you chose not to bring it.
I ate it.
Yeah.
3 days later, I went back to the
Thank you
freezer
for
and
that.
had it. No, it was delicious.
Yeah, it sounds like it was great. Thanks so much for that. Let's go back to Manhattan style. What's the difference in your mind, Bridget?
Tomato product
Uh-huh.
and spice. It's,
Well, are you saying that Manhattan
base
style
is
has
a
a
s-
roux?
some Manhattans, when you're researching recipes, some Manhattans have a small amount of roux in them,
Really?
but then they add the tomato sauce or they add tomato product
Yeah.
to get it going. But
I would think tomato paste would be the thickener in that.
yeah, could
Yeah.
be. I mean, it's pretty tomatoey when you have it.
Yeah.
Similar to a cioppino and kind
Annie,
of
is there a
consistency.
Southeast Asian version of clam chowder that we don't know about?
Well, we use coconut milk
Uh-huh.
instead
Oh.
of dairy. So that's another
That's
way to
great.
use, incorporate that in if you don't want dairy in it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we do eat potatoes too. So we love, potatoes or even sweet potatoes with seafood.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also always have a bag of the Dukes frozen in my freezer. Not always, because I eat it. I love clam
Duke's
chowder.
frozen?
Yep, they come in little
Oh,
packages.
Duke's like the restaurant.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
What is it? Clams?
It's
Dukes?
clam chowder. It's their clam chowder that they serve. They make it. You can get it at the grocery store. I got it at PCC the other day. Or if you go into their restaurant, you can buy a 64-ounce bag frozen.
Oh my God, it's a lot of clam chowder.
But when I had a lot of people come over as a
Yeah.
last minute up in the mountains, put that
Ah.
in a pot.
Yeah, you're done.
Oh,
Good
Or if you
enough.
like them a little bit more, you'd make it yourself.
that's right. She's got a place up at Alpental.
Yeah, that's right. With a kitchen and apparently a large freezer.
Oh.
The outdoors.
Outdoors, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's what you say is true, especially up there at Alpental or someplace.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you got 3 feet of snow like they're getting
Yeah.
right now.
What are you going to eat?
Yeah,
You can't go
got to have
anywhere.
something out of the freezer.
Yeah.
So, perfect. Okay, so I think we covered clam chowder. You feel good about it?
I do. It's very enlightening.
Thank
Very
you for
enlightening.
taking one for the team on the last two.
The ones on the end, wow.
Yeah. Thank you
That was
for
rough.
giving us
Yeah.
6 different versions of cold clams first thing in the morning. Okay, so I've just determined what our contest is going to be.
Okay.
Tell us your favorite chowder that you buy, whether canned or frozen or in the marketplace, like down at Pike Place Chowder or someplace
Okay.
like that. And tell us why. And on the line is a gift certificate for a night here at the Hotel Andra, 2 tickets to our show. And if you're still hungry after that, that comes with breakfast. I'll send you over to the Dahlia Bakery for a mochi donut.
Oh, that sounds
Oh,
All
wonderful.
right.
Yum.
Does that sound good?
Perfect. That sounds
Yes.
great.
Okay. There's your challenge. Want me to say it again? We'll say it again at the beginning
Yeah.
of the next hour.
Mhm.
Up next, we're going to go from ordinary to extraordinary. Let's
Extraordinary.
talk pork roast.
Okay, let's
See,
go.
I changed it on
Yeah.
you. Cairo Radio, the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Here, let's just hand these to Becky. You can finish those up. That would be great. So we're going to make a big clam chowder out of it.
They saw our face.
You know you
Becky.
want to try it. Here, just give them a little plate. Come on, don't be wussies. You're stalwarts. You're players. he's gonna
Just
vomit
avoid the
looking at
2 on
them.
the end. Oh, here we go. We've got a couple of
Lexi
grapes
wants
full.
to try them.
No, I do.
Green M&Ms.
Green M&Ms.
Yeah.
Isn't that Spanish tortilla a revelation and simple and delicious? That's the wedge of egg that you had. I love that. She just put them down, didn't she? That's efficiency right there. All right, segment number 4, hour number 1. Here we go.
Here we go.
We are back in the kitchen on Cairo Radio. It's Tom Douglas and Bridget Charters.
Charters, yeah.
One of the instructors here, sitting in Terry's chair. I'm curious how long it's going to be Terry's chair. My guess is for a very long time.
Yep.
I hope so.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about. I have the wrong.
Top of the page.
Ordinary to extraordinary.
Yep.
Now let's do that again. Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show in Cairo. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Bridget Charters.
And Bridget, let's jump into pork loin. We've done brisket today with corned beef. We've done clam chowder. It's a natural thing just to move right into pork roast.
Absolutely. Pork, there's nothing better.
Who wouldn't? So, I hope Jackie's not listening, but last night
Uh-oh.
She hears your voice enough.
she committed a cardinal sin in the kitchen.
Uh-oh.
You know what that is?
Overcooking the meat?
Well, she did that, but she bought the wrong meat to begin with.
Is that like a Loretta with chicken breasts, not thighs?
Little sort of, although this isn't typical for her. But she stopped at the store. She was a little bit frantic. She had a cold. She was not thinking correctly, and she bought the center cut pork loin chops rather than kind of the end up by the shoulder of the pig where the meat gets darker and it's fattier and bone in. Hers was no bone, boneless pork center cut loin chops.
Ruh-roh.
So the only thing worse than that is to overcook it. And so my dear wife, who's probably not listening right now, I hope, she did everything. I mean, the roasted potatoes are great. She took one of the beautiful Washington apples. You know, unlike you, who was using Chilean grapes yesterday, she used a Yakima apple that was delicious and sautéed that.
Oh, yeah.
Some mushrooms from Mabton, Washington, from the new Ostrom mushroom plant over at mushroom growing operation over there. Mabton. And what else do we have on the plate? Oh, she had greens. She had kale, and so it's a beautifully balanced thing. The only thing that stuck out like a sore thumb was the pork itself. So go ahead and tell us how you make pork loin roast.
Yeah, let's move on, Tom.
No, go for it.
So normally I do the same thing Tom does. I shop at Ballard Market, and they have specials every now and again. And it's been a little while. I don't buy those the little pork tenderloins.
No.
I look for the pork loin, and I look for the end, that shoulder end, which is marbled and fatty.
Mm-hmm. So just so you know, when you look at that, the pork loin has like this little nice pink, but when you get to the end, it gets redder and redder when you get to the shoulder end. And that's what I try to make sure that my chop has a bunch of that shoulder end in.
And I think people worry because there's connective tissue in there. It's not specifically the loin. But if I have that loin, if that's all there is, and I was thinking about, I'll get it. But what I do is I go down to the deli section and ask them for about 20 slices of pancetta.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go out to the garden and I get rosemary, thyme, and sage, and I fine mince that with peppercorns and garlic, and I rub that all over that lean pork loin, and then I wrap the entire thing in pancetta.
So pancetta is basically Italian bacon, but not smoked.
Not smoked. But if you can't find pancetta, just get some delicious bacon and just wrap it up, and do your best. Just kind of tie that string around it, and then just a light sear to get the bacon cooking and into the oven. Bang. It's quick. It's very quick cooking, surprisingly.
It doesn't need to be, though. In my opinion, if you're going that route, the slower the better.
For sure.
So if you have the time, you've got your nice roast. Let's just say it's now a 5-pound roast, 4-pound roast, something like that. If you could cook that roast on 275 to 300 at the most, and just let it go low and
that'd be
slow.
nice.
And then from an internal temperature perspective, I want to pull that roast out of the oven at 135.
Oh, I do 140. Yeah.
But it'll go to 140 as it sits under the tent, right? The other thing you might want to do, depending on what your situation is, if you want more brown than that, what that 275 is going to give you, you just at the end give it a sear.
That's an idea.
In a hot pan. So it's almost like if you had sous vide it, and then you can pull it out of the plastic bag and you give it a hard sear right before you serve it. Same idea. You can do it right on top of the stovetop too.
Right. I mean,
then to me, it's more edible, that particular cut of meat.
I mean, the nice thing about the pork loin is that it oftentimes has that kind of thin cap of fat on the outside. And so you can just season it and then sear it in a saute pan, a 12-inch saute pan. Just get the pan hot, no oil or anything, and just add a teeny bit of oil and
you can
just
do it
sear
beforehand or
and
after,
then into the oven. And it's like 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, you just cook hotter than I do, I guess. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, because then you're kind of capturing all that moisture and not allowing that to slow cook out, Tom.
I'm not buying what you're selling, Miss Charters.
Whatever. It works. Because then you get that nice kind of medium rare center that then carries over to that.
Well, 140 is not a
moist-
medium rare center. You said the 140, and that's not
But
medium
it's,
rare.
I mean, people freak out.
Medium
with
rare
pork.
steak. Oh, I understand, but I'm just saying to be clear,
Right.
temperature wise, 110, 115 is medium rare.
Right.
120 to 125 is medium, more in meat.
Right.
So anyway, that's just my opinion.
So I have in my freezer a gift, and it's a 6.5 pound bone-in pork loin, and it's special because it was raised up in Port Townsend.
Delicious.
And a homesteader had these pigs out to clear his area to build a new permaculture.
So the pig cleared the area, and he cleared the pigs.
Yes. I thought it was beautiful.
Uh-oh,
So
poor
it's
pigs.
special. What should I do with it?
Pork loin
Pork-
roast, bone in.
Bone
It's
in.
about
So
this big.
just to be clear, the bone that's in a pork loin roast is the baby back rib.
Okay.
And so those are tender ribs. They don't need to be cooked very much. You
Do I
know,
French them or
and
anything?
don't
or-
French them
don't
because
French
what are
'em?
you taking out?
All the fat, the flavor.
Well, you're taking off that, what people buy baby backs for is that tender meat in between the bones.
Uh-huh.
And when you French it, so essentially Frenching is where you expose the bone. You take you're getting rid of that meat that people are paying $6-7 a pound for
Okay.
bone in. So I would just do what Bridget just did.
Okay.
I would give it the herb rub, wrap it in some sort of fat. The only difference between Bridget and I is I cook it at a much lower temperature.
Mhm.
And knowing
Yeah.
you're going to start in a time of day that you can do that
Mhm.
because you're fastidious in the kitchen, right?
Mhm.
So you'll plan it and give yourself time. It's Bridget's always running out of here trying to get
Right.
home, got a family.
I got to squeeze in a
I know.
tennis match before.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand the difference.
Yeah.
But I know you would give it low and slow.
Yeah.
And
And I just want the smell in the house for longer too.
Well,
like the cooking.
and that particular roast is amazing and delicious, and it's going to take so much longer to cook. And the Italians do something where they cook it ai latte, and they do just scads of fresh sage
Mm.
on the stem, and they'll just give it a little bit of a sear. They season it up, and they put it in the bottom of big Le Creuset, set it in there, and then they pour milk in.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It just shallow, so
Yeah.
it's sitting just,
Nice little sauce.
couple of inches, and then they roast it that way slow, 275.
And
the-
so what happens to the milk? It kind of browns up
It
as
cooks
it
up.
dehydrates,
Oh,
right?
man.
Oh, that sounds great.
Man, it's so good.
Yeah.
And you get all that fat from the pork, from the bones. And so then you add you pull the roast out and let that rest, and then add some stock.
I love that.
The other thing you can do is like for what I would do at home is if I had that particular roast, because it's not my favorite cut, as I might have made clear. You could put a cast iron pan on your charcoal grill and do that
Oh.
searing on your grill.
Less
Oh.
mess. Doesn't mess up my big stovetop.
No, but it doesn't give you the smell in the house, which is
Oh,
what
that's
you
true.
love, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but anyway, I would put it on the cast iron grill. Leave it in the cast iron,
Mm-hmm.
close the lid so that the smoke still gets at it, but you also retain the juices then,
Oh, that
and
sounds
that
fun.
you can make a
Just
little
that
sauce out of
flavor.
the fat and things like
For
that.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And
Yeah.
you know what I love with most meats is huckleberry, or if I don't have huckleberries in the freezer anymore, blueberry, like a blueberry balsamic
Oh,
thyme
Mhm.
shallot sauce, and just pour that on top with the meat.
That
Yeah.
doesn't
with
sound
the
bad.
roaster.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
So what you're thinking?
Yeah.
So you
Or- yeah.
are totally disregarding what Bridget and I told you.
No, I have that on the side. It would go great with sage and.
Well, you were
all
talking about it. Tom got me going on roasting shallots.
that. Mhm.
Shallots are inexpensive right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, they're good too.
Huge.
The other
Yeah.
thing I would say is if you can just do exactly what Bridget talked about,
Uh-huh.
wrapping, blah, 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 with a pork butt roast instead of a pork loin roast,
Right.
you are much better off. It's
Okay.
a much better, at the end of the day,
Right.
bite of meat on your plate.
Watch the sales.
It's the difference between eating the chicken thigh and the chicken breast, right?
Correct.
The chicken thigh is
The
much
flavor.
more luscious.
Yeah.
The pork butt is much more luscious than
True
the
that.
pork. So,
Great tip. Thank you.
all right. All right, time for hour number 2. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about plant-focused cultures. We're going to have a dance party for Chef Thierry. We got food for thought, tasty trivia, lots of goodness to go right here on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Perfect. I was thinking we should do Beyonce's new country song.
Oh, I heard about that.
There's a
haven't
bit
heard
of
it yet.
controversy.
It's not a controversy.
What's the
What's
controversy?
the
No, the
controversy? It's a country
controversy
song or it's not
is
a country song?
They were doing it on the radio this morning as I was coming in. They were saying, "Oh, it sure does sound a lot like this TV show that's not on anymore." And they played them side by side and then played them
Oh,
over
that's
each
the
other. And I was
controversy.
like,
I thought for a second she wasn't allowed to sing a country song.
"Oh no."
She can do whatever she wants.
Exactly.
It's Beyonce.
Taylor's singing pop. She was a country artist.
Oh, that's true.
Who?
Taylor
Taylor.
Swift.
You don't know who Taylor is?
Yeah.
We're in one name
Oh,
category.
you guys
here.
are first name basis.
Yeah.
So they use the pigs like goats. I was reading this last night. I'm like, what? So they have a fenced in.
All right, here we go.
I thought that they were free range pigs.
Yeah,
that
they
were
are. They are.
They were free.
awesome.
And now they're. We are back here in the kitchen. Hour number 2 getting started here.
Oh,
You can find us on the Cairo app, right? For podcast. If you're
Yep.
listening to us, you can find us on PD & Co. If you want to download our YouTube channel and watch us sometime during the week. We love hanging out with you all. You can watch us live here, typically Thursday mornings. Although, because of my travel schedule, things are getting jumbled up again next week. I want to see. Don't
Yep.
what I
we have
heard.
3
Next-
shows next week, right?
2 next week and 3 the week after.
Wow.
Are you going skiing, Tom?
I'm going down under. I'm going down under to Melbourne and Sydney to play a little golf and to hang out with my
Fun.
wife Jackie for a bit. My first trip.
Wow.
My name is Tom Douglas,
And I'm Bridget Charters.
and we are here in the Hot Stove Kitchens at the Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle. We have a lovely audience today. Thank you all for coming. They're still alive. We did the cold clam tasting. How many people jumped in on that? And
Oh, very good.
did you have a favorite? Number 1. So the
Fresh.
fresh clams.
Made with love. Lots
Made
of
with
work.
love. That's
Yeah,
the
for
worst.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's 3 on there I would never buy. And there's 3 on there I would make a couple I would make chowder of. A couple in the first one, obviously, we could just have a steamed
Delicious.
clams. You
And
don't
it
even-
inspired you to announce a contest.
Yes, it did. So what's our contest? Do you remember?
Yes, it was about write in a story about your favorite clam chowder that you buy and why.
Okay.
And the winner,
Or if you want to make your own, tell me why it's better than what you
Superior.
can buy.
that's
Yeah.
oh, I like that.
Yeah.
We'll get some good recipes
Mhm.
there. And then the winner will get 2 tickets to the radio show, a little mochi donut dahlia special after, but the night prior, spend the night at the Hotel Andra.
Have a staycation with
A
us.
staycation. I did that
Perfect.
before years ago. But about 3 years ago, I did
Really?
that. Mm-hmm. It was
Yeah?
the first time I came and saw the show.
Wow,
yeah,
no
I
kidding.
played
Oh, really?
trivia. Yeah.
Oh.
And look where you are now.
Look what
see,
happened.
see what can happen. Well, we have known Becky for quite a while now.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Yeah,
This is all you.
I know. I'm excited. My
gonna-
husband's going to be thrilled that I'm talking about
Should we
this.
tell
Really?
people what it is?
Yes,
This is why he's so lean. He's the Jack Sprat of the house.
correct.
Well,
Correct.
after
Just
all-
Plant
sent me a-
focused cultures, cuisines, and dishes.
Yeah. So there's so many cultures around the world that have diets that are not based on meat. You know, I feel like the United States is one of those where we become so focused on the protein at the meal rather than thinking about all those other things. So, you know,
And even if it's not a moral choice, for some people, not eating meat's a moral choice. But
economical.
even if it's not, it's or maybe it's economical. Maybe it's just that you like carrots, for God's sake.
right. But it's just, it's not that big of a deal. And there's so many great protein sources that we can kind of lean on for our meals. And so Becky and I were chatting about just all those amazing cultures that have foods that are largely vegetarian.
Okay.
And so the first one she's got is the Indian. And so I was like, oh, this is my husband. So he's been going to the grocery store and buying what's the brand?
Maya Kamal.
Maya Kamal. And it's
I've met Maya. She's a sweetie.
Oh,
Yeah, I really
she
like
local?
her.
Have you really?
No,
oh, okay.
Wow.
I met her in a production plant in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's an amazing
knew?
product.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Is that where her plant is?
Well, it was. It went out of business, but it was a co-packer.
Oh, so she sold the brand.
No. It was a co-packer. She
Oh, got it.
hired that company. Now she hires somebody else.
Oh, got it. So you can go to your favorite grocery store, and over in the sauce section, they usually have all kinds of cultures, the tomato sauce, the this, the that. So they have these Indian sauces, and there's a number of brands on the market now. But this Maya Kamal is wonderful. They have a butter masala. They have the Madras curry. They have a spicy Madras curry. And so they're beautiful jars with beautiful labeling. So it's just like buy them all and take them home. And then it's great because they're shelf stable. It's kind of like your Rick Bayless salsa. It's delicious. It's really good. So what my husband does, and he has improved greatly in his cooking. Hope you're listening, honey.
Thank you, Maya.
Love you. Anyway, it's he'll usually do either tofu or he'll just do veggies. And so I always have the fridge loaded. So there's onions there, carrots, celery, no, but
So when do you
turnips.
add the sauce? I think of those as kind of simmering sauces.
correct.
So
That's
now
exactly
he's got
what they
tofu.
are.
What'd you say? Tofu, onions,
Broccoli.
So when do you
asparagus.
add the sauce?
So
The simmering sauce.
you need to cook those veggies, or you can just simmer them in the sauce. And then usually what he'll do is he'll sear the tofu, just kind of pat it dry and sear it in the pan. And he'll start sweating onions in there. And then he'll add the veggies that take a little bit longer, like the carrots or any other root veggie. And then he'll add the sauce on top
Okay.
and add a little bit of water and just keep the heat on low and put the lid on and let that simmer. And he's gotten a pot of rice going. And his rice cooking techniques have improved greatly.
Did you buy him a rice cooker?
No, it's just the, washing and measuring. And so anyway, you get your rice going. That doesn't take long at all. And then while the rice is cooking and that's simmering, makes a little salad, dinner's ready.
Yum.
And it's all veggie. And it's all of those spices. And there's garlic and onions, and it's hearty and it's delicious.
It's safe to say that, there's obviously tons of different, India is a very large country, and so there's tons of different techniques.
Oh
I
my.
would consider her sauces to be more Northern Indian. Is that true?
No, there's a butter masala, and they're lighter in color. I think more. I haven't been to Italy. India, but like Goa and some of those more spice heavy, slightly lighter, as opposed to the darker, heavier sauces that you see up in the north.
All right, what's your next one?
The next one is the Middle East or the Mediterranean style. So I always think of eggplant. And we do it here when people say, oh, I'm vegetarian, boom, we go right for either the eggplant or we'll go for those large portobello mushrooms. And the nice thing about that is that on any of those Mediterranean countries, like an eggplant parmigiana, it's vegetarian. That could be your entree. And it's
Vegetarian, not
hearty and-
vegan, right? So,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. I mean, we'll lean on Becky for vegan versions of this, but like a moussaka, without the meat, you could do a vegetable-based moussaka. I tend to do different pilafs, rice pilafs, where I'll cook a vegetable on the side and then put that down on the platter and pour the pilaf over that, so you've got, and then veggies piled on top, layered.
Uh-huh.
And that's your entree out to the table is nice. And then what I mentioned at the opening of the show, the hortapita pie, that's phyllo dough, and you've got wonderful cheese and all kinds of vegetables layered in phyllo.
Uh-huh.
Very Mediterranean and delicious, right?
You know what I like so far was we haven't had pasta yet. Remember,
Yes.
for years and years and years, you can go to any restaurant and they'd say, "Do you have a vegetarian entree?" And yeah, pasta primavera.
Becky
Essentially.
said I couldn't talk about pasta.
Well, that's good. I like the
Yeah.
idea that we're breaking out.
We want to be a little
Yeah.
bit more proteiny.
Do you
know?
have a favorite go-to when it comes to a vegetarian entrees?
Well, I love using quinoa, and I do tofu sometimes. But just
You're gluten free, right?
no, I'm not gluten free.
Oh, okay.
egg
No, no.
free. I think she's
Just
right.
egg. Just
Yeah.
egg.
I love a grain bowl, and that's
Yes.
somewhat
Oh,
new
yeah.
to me.
Yes.
We went to a little place in Fremont called Eve,
Okay.
and they have a good grain bowl there.
Nice.
And to me, it's a little bit like a
Donburi
poke bowl or
yeah.
a donburi bowl, where
Yeah.
you kind of have this delicious base of different
Variety.
things,
Yeah.
and then you get to pop on little taste of lots of different,
Mhm.
like whether it's your own pickled cucumbers, some
Mm.
avocado, some.
kimchi.
You just go all the way around, and I like kind of just taking a bite of something and getting into the grain and
Eve,
coming
that
up.
sounds good. Remember when we spoke with Fuchsia Dunlop,
Mhm.
the Chinese, and she talked a lot about how they're very veg heavy.
Right.
Right.
Well, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, we're the only country that's not.
Well,
I mean, not meat
Argentina,
heavy. I mean, so
Argentina
Yeah.
maybe a little more. Yeah.
Right. And it's when you're thinking of Japanese or Taiwanese or Korean, like when you go to a Korean restaurant, you order this, you get this small little entree, but then you get this tray with 12 different
what is
dishes.
that called? I forget the name of that service.
That's amazing
Yeah.
because then you get your few little pieces of meat that you grill or they bring
Shabu
grilled.
shabu?
No.
No.
No, it's a
It's a
tray,
service, yeah.
but it's
Okay.
all the kimchi's and the daikon, and it's
Mm.
amazing because the majority of them are vegetables. There might be a few fish in there.
Yeah, there's usually a little fish cake or an egg
Right.
service or something.
Right. The other one I was thinking of, as you were saying, grains, couscous, and for Moroccan, it's delicious to
Oh.
do like
Mhm.
big chunks of seared zucchini, seared eggplant. You can just easily just toss those in some herbs and spices and roast them in the oven like you would meat,
Mhm.
and then pull those out and add them to a nice aromatic sauce,
Mm.
and then put those with a couscous. It'd be delicious.
You know,
with a
one of the
nice-
things that when you say that, it reminds me of what's kind of forgotten sometimes in vegetarian entrees is fruit.
Right.
And so I think
like
of a Moroccan tagine, including
With-
dried apricots or dates or
Mhm.
figs. But even local fruits like a roasted pear, like
Right.
a Basque pear that doesn't break down into sauce when you roast it.
Right.
To have a nice chunk of roasted pear in that same tagine with your spicy tomato kind of broth that goes over the
Right.
couscous.
Yeah.
It's really a kind of a lovely
That sounds
surprise.
lovely, yeah.
Whole
Yeah.
almonds and things.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Middle Eastern food has tons of great, the falafel and the
Mhm.
hummus and
Mhm.
tabbouleh.
Right. When you're
Meze
speaking of
spreads.
beans, as they say, those pulses.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chickpeas, the white beans. We're coming into fava bean season. It'll be coming here in the Northwest, and
Fresh favas. Yeah.
fresh favas, kind of April, May. I'm like, there you go. You've got your protein.
Yeah.
Those
Good
complex
luck, good luck peeling
carbohydrates.
those.
Oh.
I was on the Rancho Gordo website
Oh, I
yesterday.
love them.
I like them too, and I'm not a bean person
Uh-huh.
per se. I'm starting to grow up a little bit and liking them more. But God, they had so much fun stuff on their site. I wanted to order one of every bean to
Yeah.
try. When I've done that in the past, though, it's like when you order the Amish popcorn. It's like 10 different colors, and it's like blah, blah, blah. It all tastes the same.
Oh, really?
That's so
We'll
funny.
have to do a taste test from Rancho Gordo. I received it as a Christmas present once,
Uh-huh.
and it was wonderful
mixed
because
box
just 4 little packs, some recipes, and then I got hooked on them. And
Uh-huh.
now I buy them in the store. But
That's
it's a nice gift,
Yeah, that is
something
a nice gift.
perishable and
Yeah, that's
thought-provoking.
ranchogordo.com. They're out of the Arizona area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. California and
there?
Arizona. Yeah.
They have popcorn also and some heirloom hominy, which I would like to try.
Oh.
Already nixtamalized, so which I think is that's certainly something that has to happen. Maybe
Exactly.
someplace else. All right, it's time for a dance party right here in the Hot Stove Kitchen. When we come back, get up by your radio. I'm going to ask our audience to get up by their chair, and we're going to dance in Chef Thierry on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot
Perfect.
Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
We didn't tell the people on the who to email and by when. So
Do it
Okay.
right at the beginning here.
Great.
Last night at my class here, I was grilling bread I was cutting thin slices of Iberico ham off the whole leg right here, and I was grilling bread. And next thing I realized was this hood wasn't turned on, and we had smoke everywhere. And I was so afraid I was going to get
fire
the
alarm.
whole hotel drenched in water.
Oh, that would be terrible.
Sean, you got some music for us? Okay, here we go. We're going to ask you guys to stand up by your chair, if you would, for a minute. Give some respect to Chef Thierry. All right, here we go. It's time for a dance party. Oh, no, it's not. All right, here we go. It's time for a dance party. If you're sitting at home or sitting in your car, working in your garden, whatever you happen to be doing, our guests here are all dancing by their chairs. Bridget and I are dancing by the microphone. This is our respect tour for Chef Thierry's adventurous life that he led and delicious cooking. And he was a dance maniac.
Can you whistle, Tom?
Thierry could whistle, not me. All right. Thank you, Sean. We like to dance Thierry into this segment every week. He would just have such a big smile on his face if he saw us doing that every week for him. As many of you who listen to the show know, we've been going through Thierry's book called Rovers. Somebody in the audience bought one while they were sitting here last week because I said the only way you can buy it is used at this point.
Oh.
And so if you find one out there, grab it and go along with us over the next year. We're having a year celebration of Thierry's life through his book and through his recipes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm enjoying the heck out of it, I tell you, because, we had such a different cooking style all of our careers that I never, while I ate his food all the time, I never really dug in to some of the things that he was doing and some of the techniques that he was using. You probably would do that more than I would. Bridget, you're more classical.
Right. And we
classical.
used his book when I was teaching at the Art Institute, some of his different classical
Oh, did you?
dishes. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was fun.
One of our listeners sent in for Valentine's Day. He made the lobster with the avocado that we described. Our
Oh,
buddy
really?
Jim, and he sent beautiful
Oh.
pictures for his wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really sweet. So I think it's inspiring people to do some cooking.
Yeah, you better want to do some cooking. If you're,
You
if
bet.
you're
Yeah,
following
kind
along
of
with this.
plan Saturday, Sunday for that.
Well, this is such an appropriate recipe today, and you didn't even know it. Today we're doing the terrine of Sonoma Valley foie gras, and I was talking with Thierry's, and we were. She had been going through her freezer, and she found an entire lobe, so about 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 pound lobe of foie gras in the freezer, raw. But it's cryovac, so it's airtight, so it's in beautiful shape. And so, in case you don't know, foie gras is a big fattened duck liver. And so I'm going to get that.
Wow.
And when it does come time to celebrate Thierry, we're going to make a little appetizer out of it.
Oh, perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Do some
So-
little toast points for him.
So this one is a terrine of foie gras. So this
Correct.
you do need a terrine mold for.
And a lot of foie gras.
And a lot. I would say 1 lobe. I mean, some people, if you want to make a terrine that's say 2 to 4 inches or 2 to 3 inches high, you probably need 2 lobes for a typical Le Creuset terrine.
About 3 pounds or so.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And most lobes are about 1.25 pounds, 1.5 pounds. So.
right. And you mentioned that Le Creuset mold. It's a little bit smaller than some of the other ones, which is great.
Okay.
Because
The
this is
Meal Henri
expensive.
makes a pretty big long one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, and you can expect to pay for a lobe, a 1.5 pound lobe of foie. You could probably expect to pay about $80 for it. Would be my
Correct.
guess.
But where do
so
you get it? D'Artagnan still?
No, you can go get it at Seattle Caviar sells it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think quite a few places have it. Okay, so let's talk about that. We've got the lobe in front of us. It's thawed. It's on our counter. You wouldn't freeze it. Freezing it does not help it.
No.
Uh,
Even though it is fatty.
it is fatty, which does help it. It's better if you get it fresh.
Right.
Now you've got it sitting in front of you, and Thierry says, take it and put the fatty, the two fattest part of the lobes towards you, and give the center a slice, but don't cut all the way through it.
Right.
And so I'm not sure why he does that, but his intention throughout this process is to take the nub end of a knife, so not the sharp end, just turn it over and use the dull end of a knife, and to kind of work the veins and the nerves out of the lobe.
Right.
And I think because you don't want to slice through the veins, you want to try and pull them out a little bit
Right.
with the nub end of the knife.
And the slicing that he does with that sharp paring knife is just under the skin, not super deep, and that's just to release the membrane that is encasing that whole thing. And that little cut exposes, because you've turned it up and it's where the organ attaches in the body. So you're just removing all those membranes and you're removing all those veins and just cleaning that up.
So somebody who's doing this for the first time can expect to spend a half hour kind of
Easy,
just,
yeah.
just kind of working these veins and nerve tissues
And peeling that membrane
out. And so
off.
why is it important?
Because you've got all those blood veins and blood vessels and stuff in there that'll discolor the foie gras, and it's a little bit bitter, especially in and around where the capillaries are and those blood vessels. So you want to get all of that off. It's chewy. It's a little bit bitter.
That's the thing that gets me the most. Like, so now you've got this beautiful terrine of foie, and it wants to be custardy creamy.
Super
right.
creamy,
You don't want these little bits of things in there. So
Correct.
that's why you put the effort in early, because there's not a lot more to do.
No.
There's some technical
No,
stuff, but
right.
it's not a lot more to do. So now we've got our lobes. They're deveined, denerved,
They're cleaned up.
cleaned up.
You've cleaned them and soaked them.
Right. So now let's soak them. He soaks them in a couple of cups of sauterne with some salt, which is nice.
He drinks some and then he.
Not all sauterne is Yquem or Riesec, right?
right.
There's very inexpensive sauterne out there. So he just rinses them and lets it sit for an hour, essentially.
Right.
Okay, now we've got our terrine. We've got some cardboard that's been cut to fit the size of the terrine, wrapped in a little plastic wrap. So now we've taken our terrine and we've got our foie all cleaned up. And then he literally shoves the lobes of the foie. He doesn't cut them anymore. He shoves the lobes into the terrine. So you kind of have to mold the two lobes together.
Right. And because as you're cleaning that up, there's some other smaller pieces that are part of the natural shape of that.
They're trim.
They're little trim pieces. So those are also going to get tucked in to fill those spots.
Right.
And those lobes they're about 8 inches in length or so. So you're going to overlap those and tuck those in there.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So now he puts a brick on top, a foil wrapped brick. Has a water bath. He puts the terrine into the water bath. And he's going to bake that in the oven.
Right.
Right. He just takes them out. He doesn't put the sauterne in with it.
Right.
He just pulls them out of the sauterne.
Well, and so he doesn't do the brick right away, because it says here you do the lobe pieces and you put the parchment. Whoops. You put the parchment on top and you add you put it in a hot water bath like you're cooking a cheesecake.
Right.
And then just bake it, and so it won't take long to cook at all, and then the brick comes in.
Oh, I thought the brick was on when it was baking.
No, the brick comes afterward, because then you want it, once you've that just enough, that liver doesn't take long to cook at all. And once it sets, it's going to be hot, and then you're going to put that weight on top with that piece of cardboard.
It takes longer than I think, because his oven temp is, than I think you think. His oven temp is only 200 degrees.
Where is it?
And you want to cook it to about, he says, The hot water should be about 180 degrees. Okay,
Right.
so let's just say we're cooked now. You pull it out. You pour off some of the liquid,
Yep. But save it.
but save it. And now it's going to go into the refrigerator,
Underweight.
underweight, and chill.
Correct.
But you want to wait on it so that your foie presses together.
Right. Because all of that is puffed up, and then you're going to press it and compress it.
So while this is chilling, he's going to take more sauterne and he's going to put gelatin in it and make a little sauterne jelly.
right. With that.
Which he cuts into little cubes.
It's called aspic.
And he's going to make a loaf of brioche, which he loves to do. He had a house brioche that he used on a ton of different dishes.
Uh-huh.
And so now we've got brioche cut, toasted lightly.
Right.
We've got our chilled foie terrine coming out of the refrigerator. You're going to pour some fat back up on top of it so that it all comes out beautifully
Right.
encased in fat. And he puts it on a chilled cutting board.
Well, and what I thought was interesting is he leaves it in the mold when he puts the fat on.
Uh-huh.
And I was always taught that you unmold it, release it from the pan, put it on a rack, and then coat it.
With fat.
Coat it with fat and then
Uh-huh.
coat it with aspic, which is
Uh-huh.
nice. And then you store it that way out of the mold. But he's talking about kind of French
Yeah.
style serving it in the mold.
Serving it in the mold.
Yeah.
Or if it's an appetizer at a party, you're literally just going to slice it thin. And when he serves it itself, he puts it on a chilled plate, which I hadn't really thought to do. Because if you put it on a hot plate, it's just
gonna
going to
melt.
melt into
Right.
a puddle.
Right.
So chilled plate. And then garnishes it with the toast points and with cubes of the wine aspic.
Well, and you mentioned the roast pears. This is diced roast pears with this would be amazing. But then that aspic is just that cooking liquid strained, cleaned up, and you add a bit of gelatin to it and
So
make little jelly.
Yeah.
You know?
So if you've never had a foie terrine before, foie means liver in French.
right.
It's like spreading a soft pat of butter on a piece of bread. It's so creamy,
It's pretty darn
soft,
good.
and delicious. And
It's pretty darn good.
it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So,
I know I don't understand I mean, I do understand the controversy, but it's too bad because that fattened liver, man, wow, it's good.
yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
All right. That's our dance party this week with one of Chef Thierry's recipes from the Rover's cookbook. You can join us every week. Have you been putting these up online, these recipes? Or
No, but we could.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think it'd be
we'll do
interesting
that.
if people want to look
We should
more.
we should
'Cause
do
it's hard
a
to find the book.
right, and I think we should do a link for his brioche pan. That was what I found most intriguing.
Which was
He has a round cylindrical
Oh,
loaf pan
right.
that you butter the whole round tube, and it opens up, and you put the brioche dough in there and bake it that way.
yum. All right, it's Girl Scout cookie season time,
Yay.
which means that Chef Brittany Bardeleben is going to join us. As she
Oh,
is
yeah.
the queen of turning those cookies into something fabulous. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM. Brittany, did you see who's sitting over here?
Yeah, little mini reunion.
Got a reunion already? What's up, Bardeleben?
How is everybody?
Really good.
Hi. Thank you. I am busy. Yes.
Getting the update
Keep
to
pulling
a
it.
cat.
Yeah, keep pulling it. Keep pulling it. There you go.
There
That's
you
what I
go.
like.
She's been on.
I know. Just reminders. Our segments are a little longer now, so we can't fuss around as much. In between
Okay,
as we
great.
used to.
You don't have to play my exit music while I'm getting me to shut up.
Did you choose your dance music?
My dance?
Yeah. No, I was. Gonna say-
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You don't want to see me dance. It's bad.
Chef Thierry, it's all good. Thank you for dancing for Chef. He would have appreciated that. I almost forgot to dance the whole time. I was too busy chatting.
I was wrapping up the clams.
Were you?
I asked if anybody
Who are
wanted
you
them.
wrapping them for?
Me to go to the compost. Or maybe I'll make chowder or something. Not with the last two cans.
Not the
though.
last two.
No,
Those went into compost.
they will.
All right, we're back here at the Hot Stove in the beautiful studios that are the Hot Stove Kitchens. If you ever want to come take a class, Bridget, you have a bunch of classes coming up, don't you? You're cooking the book. What else you have?
Well, we're so popular with that paella class.
That's
We're doing
sold
the
out.
paella
It's
class.
sold out.
Yeah, we'll be loading another one here, and then we've got some.
What's your
pasta
next
classes.
book that you're cooking?
Uh,
Okay, I'll ask that question
Chiquetti,
again.
but it's
Chiquetti.
happening as you're listening to this. It'll be happening Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
Is the Chiquetti, which is an Italian appetizer.
You know, we're serving lots of Chiquetti at the new Neb
I know.
antipasto bar over across the street.
We ate there a couple of weeks ago. It's delicious.
Yeah, you liked it? It's a cute little room, isn't it?
Beautiful.
It's fabulous. And Baltimore like knocked it out of the park. It was great.
Speaking of knocking it out of the park, pastry chef Brittany Bardeleben is here from where? Where do you work these days?
I
Since
work
you
at Hot Cakes.
dumped us. You work at Hot Cakes. Lovely spot up on the hill and in Ballard, right?
And in Ballard, and then soon to be third location in Soto Urban Works.
Okay, cool.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's on First Avenue South, sort of down there where Charlie's is and Bar Greens.
Yeah.
And
Right across from Dick's restaurant.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, where
Yeah.
that wine area
Yeah,
is there.
surrounded by wine tasting
Oh,
rooms.
that's
We're going to
so
get along
sad.
great. Yep.
Is that your production? New
That'll be our production facility and third location. Yeah.
Wow.
So sort not unlike the Dahlia Workshop, you'll be able to sort of watch us.
How fun.
Yeah. It
Nice.
actually, as of this week, actually looks like a kitchen. So I'm very excited.
And you're
Yeah.
in that same kind of complex?
Mhm. Yeah,
Nice.
right next door to San Juan Seltzery. Yeah.
Oh, very
Yeah.
good. How
So
fun.
it smells like black cherry seltzer in there most of the time. But we're gonna
You guys are
compete
going to be a
with-
little buzzed
Yeah,
while you work.
exactly. Yeah.
That's my problem with all those flavored seltzers, not San Juan in particular.
Yeah.
All of them, is that they have that kind of fake fruit smell that reminds me. Should I say it or not?
I don't know.
You know when you walk into a men's room and
I'll say it.
Urinal cake?
It smells like a urinal cake.
yeah, exactly. So, but I
Oh
find
my
that with
God.
that, whether it's in LaCroix soda water,
I
or-
completely agree.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't care what it is. There's just something
Well-
about those essences that don't sit right for me. So
Got it.
The
Yeah,
got
natural flavor.
The
The
smell
natural
of
flavor.
chocolate, on the other hand, is
Yes.
delicious.
Can't
argue with
yeah,
that,
I can't
Brittany.
argue with that.
okay,
yeah.
Brittany, you're launching on Thursday, March 7th at all the Hot Cakes spaces.
Yeah, we'll have our March menu launch on March 7th. And we do have a very special molten cake this month. It's our Scouts Honor Molten Cake.
Really?
So
Because also happening in March is the Girl Scout cookie sales. In-person sales start happening. We'll also have Girl Scouts at our Ballard location every weekend this month under our pergola selling cookies. So
Oh,
yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Both days, Saturday, Sunday?
I
Farmers
believe
market
so.
too?
Yes, Farmers Market Day and
Perfect.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the cake. You always use a cookie, one of the cookies. In your
Yes, and
special.
I've made no secret of the fact that the Thin Mint is my favorite. So the Scouts Honor Cake is sort of a celebration of the Thin Mint. We use our Dark Decadence molten chocolate cake batter, that same delicious cake batter, but we're filling it with a peppermint pastry cream, so you get sort of a creamy, minty
Oh.
contrast to the rich dark chocolate. On the side, we have a scoop of ice cream and our dark chocolate sauce, and then we plunk a Thin Mint right on top of it, and it just all works
Yum.
beautifully together.
When you
Wow.
develop this, what's the process for? Like,
Eating a lot of Girl Scout
Yeah.
cookies.
Eating a lot of Thin Mints, and I was like, should I work with the Thin Mint, develop, try and work it into the cake? And I was ultimately was like, I'm not going to mess with perfection. It's going to
Uh-huh.
be a garnish, but I did sort of want that creamy, minty, chocolate chip mint ice cream sort of flavor profile. So
I thought about suing the Girl Scouts over the name of that cookie because it makes me very fat.
it is not, yes, Fat Mint. They are the lightest of all of their cookies, I feel like. So you don't feel like such a garbage person if you eat a sleeve of them, as opposed to like the Samoas or something, which are so rich.
That's
But
my favorite.
that
is
one
Samoa.
is so good too.
Okay. Also, you have a Miro matcha mint chip milkshake.
Yes, also leaning into that mint chocolate flavor profile. Our neighbors next door at Miro Tea, they make the most beautiful matcha. And so
Oh.
we've worked that into a milkshake. So we're just adding the matcha directly into our milkshake. And then we use a mint flavored compound chocolate. Now, compound chocolate is where you just take melted chocolate and add some sort of fat to it, cocoa butter, coconut oil, olive oil. And it keeps it so when we melt it down when we add it to the milkshake, but the frozen ice cream immediately
Sets it.
sets it, breaks it into chunky bits, but it's not that super hard, crunchy,
Right,
break
right.
your tooth. What
Like
happens?
a stracciatella kind of.
Exactly. That's kind of what we're going for is a stracciatella. So
Yum. That
yes.
sounds delicious.
Yes. So that launches on the 7th as well.
Boy, a whole new menu. And of course, with Patty's Day coming up, an Irish cold brew cocktail.
Yes.
Is that a boozy shake or what is that?
It's just a cocktail and it is very boozy. We're making our own Irish cream as opposed to, buying Bailey's, and it is.
Yeah, well, why would you?
Why would you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And again, we utilize our dark chocolate sauce, and then we're using Jameson cold brew, which is sort of a coffee infused whiskey. Shake that with
Wow.
ice, poured into a coupe, and then it's got a layer of soft whipped cream on top. So it really is like a dessert in cocktail form.
So go back to that. Are you saying that's something I can buy, Jameson cold brew?
Yeah, if you go to the liquor store.
Oh,
Because
I've only seen their stout, the Jameson
Right.
stout.
No,
which
this
is-
was something we discovered a couple of years ago. Decided to keep it on
Uh-huh.
hand as a sipper just for people to order because it goes so well
for
with
people to
chocolate.
order, or for, the
For
chef?
maybe it's just to,
Yeah.
to
Put in their
R&D. It's
coffee.
just R&D. Yeah.
This
Hmm.
sounds like something you need to have like at noon. It would keep me
yeah,
up
it
if
will
I had
perk
it
you up
after
a bit.
dinner.
Yeah.
What else is floating your boat these days?
Floating my boat. Well, we also have our spring menu launch. That'll be a week after on March 14th. But that's when we revamp the entire menu, get rid of all the winter desserts. We'll still have a bread pudding because that's got like a cult following at this point. I can't take it off the menu without
Mhm.
getting hate
Oh,
on
I haven't
Instagram
had
about
that.
it.
Wow.
It's
What's-
crazy.
What is it?
So we just do a brioche bread pudding, and I do different incarnations of it throughout the seasons. Right now, it's an apple brioche bread pudding, and so we're going to switch over to a roasted pineapple bread pudding. So I was sort of inspired by pineapple upside down cake with that one. So I've got a very rummy brown sugar custard binding everything together. I'm roasting the pineapple and putting that in with the
See,
bread
if
pudding.
if you said to Tom, you have your choice of two desserts, a
Uh-huh.
pineapple bread pudding or a pineapple upside down cake, there isn't a chance in hell I'd buy the bread pudding.
Really?
I'm just not that person.
Mm.
But it is such a popular dessert.
Yes.
And it's a little bit to me like eating cheesecake after dinner. It's like, really? You just had a big steak and fries and Caesar salad?
You're
and
all in at this
now you
point.
want
You might as
cheesecake?
well. Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
just a lighter dessert person, I guess. Yeah.
Well, good on you.
I'm just saying, I find it interesting because it's just
Yeah.
like at our restaurants,
Yeah.
it sells like crazy.
I know it's chocolate and like the richer dessert. I almost wonder if people are like, I'm out for dinner. I'm doing this.
We're
I'm
doing
not going for the scoop of sorbet.
It doesn't keep them up at night.
Doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll have a whiskey over dessert.
I'm always-
anytime.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
always amazed. I live in Ballard, so I'll wander by and damn, the lines.
The line is insane.
It's
Yeah.
insane
Yeah.
on like
Yeah.
a Friday or a Saturday night.
Yeah.
We went to a movie and just did a little loop around,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Holy tamale!" There
Yeah.
were lined
And then you
up
look across the
outside,
street at Salt and Straw, and it's got a line
and
too.
there's a
It's
line
a-
there too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Dessert
And
capital of
ambrosia.
Ballard.
You have a gelato, ambrosia. Gelato.
Yeah, there's a gelato place down the street.
It's
Ambrosia.
all desserts
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's dessert town. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then where are you up on Capitol Hill?
We're right in the location where the B&O used to be on
Oh.
the corner of Olive and Belmont.
Seattle
So
classic.
that
Oh,
that
that's a
space
good
was just meant to
location.
house dessert.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh wow,
yeah.
that's a good spot too.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't let you go without. We're talking. You're a scout leader. Is that true?
I'm not a scout leader. I'm just a longtime supporter of the
Oh,
Girl
okay. I was
Scouts.
thinking
yeah.
that, you were a scout leader
a
too.
troop leader now.
But we can't. It is the time of year for hot house rhubarb.
It is hot
And
house
it's the
rhubarb
First
season.
little people are just
yeah,
itching
they
at this time of year
lose
in
their minds
Seattle.
over
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Well, it's because it's the only new thing in the last
It's
5
pretty,
months.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I tend to prefer the outdoor grown flavor wise, but to your point, there's just something about that first pop of color
Right.
to work
Flush.
with of the year.
Yeah.
It's fresh.
What are you doing with it?
I am just roasting it and we're
Wow.
garnishing our creme brulee with it. Just that simple
Oh.
combination of vanilla custard and rhubarb is just so classic and so delicious.
So when I think of roasting it, I would think it comes out as a stringy, soggy.
you would think
mess.
so, not
So tell us
not
your
when I
trick.
do it.
Tell us your trick.
So my method is to dice up the rhubarb and toss it in sugar and let it sit overnight. First of all,
First clue right there is
First.
dice it up first, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that overnight process pulls out so much delicious juice from that rhubarb.
Got it.
Yeah. So then I will take it and just put it directly in the oven and I watch it like a hawk. And the second I can get a fork through it, I pull it out of the oven.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, 2 or 3 minutes longer, and you're correct. It
What
does turn
temp?
to cerm. In my ovens, I do 350, so fairly low oven. So for a home oven, 400 degrees.
Just on some parchment
Just
paper.
on some,
and just-
yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I'll let it sit overnight again, and it sort of absorbs even more of that juice. So you've got this beautifully poached. It's almost more of a poached than a roasted rhubarb.
Got it.
Beautifully poached in its own juices. Rhubarb.
And you say that because it's dropping juice on the tray that you're cooking it on. So
Exactly.
it's almost steaming itself.
It's steaming, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when it sits overnight in that juice again for the second time, it reabsorbs all that delicious flavor.
Uh-huh.
So we've got this juicy, tender rhubarb, but that still holds its shape and doesn't turn to stringy mush.
So that you put sugar on.
Oh, I just had a question. If we did this at home, do you put this in the fridge when you macerate overnight?
I
Is
do,
It's in
yes,
the fridge.
yeah.
Same
Yes.
thing after you
Again,
roast it
in the
back
fridge
Okay,
overnight.
thank you.
Yeah.
Just into
yeah.
like a container, you cool it down and then just put it
cool
into
it down.
a Tupperware or
Yeah, and so
something.
then
Okay.
you know, it also comes with a little bit of these pan juices that are so
Got it.
delicious too that
Uh-huh.
you can drain off and put in a cocktail. One thing we really like to do is a rhubarb Aperol spritz in the spring. So we just use that juice in a classic Aperol spritz in the springtime, and it's so delicious.
So Aperol is like not an Amaro, but it's more like a bitter.
Bitters, yeah,
Sweet
yeah,
bitter.
yeah.
And usually a spritz, they just add Prosecco to it.
Prosecco.
Right?
We just add a little
So
bit of
you're
that
just adding
rhubarb
some
simple
syrup
syrup
to
to it.
I didn't realize you had bartenders there.
I mean, I
They're
don't know if you
called
call
bakers.
it. We all have to have mask
They're called
licenses,
bakers,
but
yeah.
I wouldn't call us bartenders. The back of the house team does batch out all of the cocktails, so that way, because we do have that line out the door, they just want to throw it in a shaker and pour it into a glass and
that's
get them out the
awesome.
door.
Oh,
yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Very good. I'll come in
yeah.
for a
Developing
cocktail.
cocktails was new territory for me when I started.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
and the other thing that I love
Excuse me.
is
It's like when you were in our bakery, I saw a lot of booze in
Right.
that bakery.
I love to work with it in my desserts, but yeah.
that's funny. The other thing I love is when the guests come for dinner, quick fix is the hot cakes at the freezer section.
Yeah, the
Yes.
take and bakes. If you don't want to wait in line or wait for your cake, just grab a take and bake from the freezer and take it home and recreate the experience at home.
It's
Speaking
the
of
best.
take and
Yeah.
bake, we're interested in baking you next segment.
Yeah,
In our
nice
food for
segue.
thought tasty
Tasty
trivia
trivia.
challenge.
Yeah.
Yes?
Oh.
You in?
I'm in.
We're gonna cook you on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society show, 97.3 FM. You know, the only person as competitive as you in trivia is
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever done trivia with you, Bridget.
It was
Oh.
right around
I
the
don't
time.
think so.
Yeah.
watch your purse.
Oh my god. Classic. That's awesome. So when do you guys open Soto?
We're aiming for April 1st. It's just been, opening a new place with contractors and setbacks that, we were hoping to be March 1st, but that's not realistic. So, yeah.
I gotta go down. I haven't been down there in
Yeah.
ages.
Yeah. I'm excited.
All right, last segment. You guys all in?
Ready?
Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
We're back in the kitchens here. Time for food for thought tasty trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. They're available in Puget Sound area at grocery stores like Hagen Foods, PCC, Thriftway, Whole Foods, Town and Country Markets, Met Markets, all over the place. And we're in 5,000 different retail outlets around the country. Sean, can you grab that? Don't forget about our staycation giveaway. Give us your story about your favorite clam chowder that you either buy or make.
Mhm.
And then on the line is what?
You just a beautiful night stay at the Hotel Andra. 2 tickets to come watch us or be with us, have breakfast with us at the hot stove taping, and then if you're still hungry, walk over to the Dahlia and get a mochi donut.
And mochi donut.
You just have to email us a story by Wednesday, March 6th at noon, and email BeckyG@tomdouglas.com.
There you go. Becky G. Becky G. It sounds like a rap tune.
She's our new DJ.
Yeah, exactly. Becky G on the microphone. Hey, let's play some trivia. How do we play this game? And tell us who's going to win.
Well, you already told Brittany that you're going
That
to
she
bake
was gonna
her.
win.
We're going to bake her.
But so Brittany's our pastry chef is here, not our pastry chef, hot cakes. But we're going to have 5 questions for each one of you, and the one who gets the most right will pick an audience member and give them a 3-pack of Rub with Love
All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
They can shop. They can stroll
through the gift
the
shop.
gift shop and
Yes.
get their own 3-pack.
I love it.
Okay.
We're going to start with Bridget.
All right.
with two competitive people. This is going to be interesting. Well, three. but
Three.
Well-
yeah,
two
Tom,
highly-
whatever,
Yeah.
Mr.
Plus, you're like
Golfer.
Pamela, so anyone else has a better chance.
You won last week.
Mhm.
I didn't help you. What is the name of the steak dish that is made from a fillet coated with pâté, duxelles, wrapped in puff pastry, and then baked?
Wellington.
Beef Wellington. Well done. Okay, here's a affinage, spelled AFFINAGE, is the art or process of what? And in French, affiner means to refine.
Affinage.
Mhm. It's
Should I guess?
Sure. Tom, do you know?
Do you know, Tom?
Of course.
I have no
he
idea.
does not. He does not.
It's the process of maturing and aging cheese to develop its flavor and texture.
Wow. Learn something new every
you go.
day. Love
All
that.
right. Number 3. What are the spots in a traditional English steamed pudding known as spotted dick?
What are the
You don't have to call a doctor for these.
And
what are the ingredients
You have to.
what are the spots?
in the spotted dip?
Mm-hmm.
Peppercorns?
Currants.
Currants.
I knew Brittany would
I knew
know
it.
that,
Yeah.
so I
you
didn't.
knew that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Dick or dog was the 19th century British word for plain pudding. So spotted dick or spotted dog is still one of the most popular puddings in British cuisine.
Wow.
Brittany doesn't like it.
I made it once. It was not good.
Okay.
It was not for me.
In number 4, in
We
which
were allowed to say in our family, we're not so keen on that.
Not so
Not so
keen on
keen.
it. Exactly.
I like that. That's a nice way to.
Yeah. Yeah.
In which country would you find the wine regions Stellenbosch and Swartland? Would you like options? Stellenbosch
Stellenbosch?
and Swartland.
Well, it's either Germany, Austria, or Switzerland.
You have to pick one. Hate to break it
Well,
to you,
it's
Chef.
none of those.
Hate to break
Oh,
it to you,
it's
Chef.
not.
It's either
Hungary? Is it Hungary?
I'll give you options.
Oh,
Okay.
Argentina, New Zealand, or South Africa?
South Africa.
South Africa. Yes.
Tom, did you know? He didn't know it. Don't
He
don't
knew
pay
that.
attention to the
You knew
man over
that.
there.
All right. Final question. Can you please name the culinary connection of these 4 things? Roulade, broccoli, porchetta, or farsumagru?
They're all rolled and tied.
Nice. Rolled meats usually, right? But
Yeah.
you could do savory as well, or sweet. Good job. 3 out of 5.
Good job.
For that one was a bit
Good
of a-
job, Britt.
I'm holding Terry's spot firm.
Right.
Good, Bob. Good job, Brigitte.
All right, Brittany, you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Which rum-based Caribbean spirit shares its name with a California beach? Might taste like
Malibu rum.
Yes,
that-
Tom's favorite.
Aw.
Little tastes like suntan lotion.
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
Okay. Number 2, a Bedfordshire clanger is a pastry with meat and potatoes at one end and what on the other? It's also called a trolley dumpling.
Is it sort of like a fruit pie
Yeah,
filling on the other side?
Sweet on one side,
Sweet on one
savory
side.
the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's,
Wow.
You're a sick woman to know that.
Never heard of
Thank
that.
you, Great British Baking Show.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were made
Oh.
for agricultural workers to eat in as their midday meal, so they would have both sweet and savory in one pastry. Good job. Number 3, can you please describe the difference between marmalade and jam?
Marmalade is not set with pectin. Something else?
And
Well, marmalade is made out of sugar and citrus. Jam is other types of fruit, sugar, and typically set with pectin.
okay, that's good. I was also looking for it. In addition, it has the fruit and it has the
The pulp of the, yes,
the-
correct.
but
Yeah, yeah.
You got it.
But so does jam. Not to start an argument here.
Marmalade.
Marmalade, yeah. Jelly, however, is clarified. And
I would
contains
never
them.
invite her back. She's
Don't invite me
arguing
back.
with the
I'm
producer.
too. Details matter.
All right, number 4, multiple choice. How many different ingredients are in a Big Mac? You've got Big Mac. It's shocking that it starts.
Okay, hang on.
It starts.
Beef patty, special sauce,
Lettuce, cheese, pickles,
no,
onions on a
onions,
sesame seed bun.
Six.
No, don't answer yet.
Okay, sorry.
It's multiple choice.
Oh, okay.
How many different ingredients are in a Big Mac? 22, 43, or 67?
Different
Oh,
ingredients.
ingredients. What were the numbers again?
Shocking. 22, 43, or 67.
I'm going to go with 67.
You got it.
Yeah.
67 ingredients in a Big
Yeah.
Mac.
Yep.
All right. Number 5, can you name the Please name the culinary connection between albumin, germinal disc, air gap, and membrane.
Eggs.
Eggs, egg anatomy. Good job.
Very good.
5
Look
out
at
of
that.
5 out of 5. That is crushing.
Smoking.
That is crushing.
Smoking. Those were not easy
Who's baking
questions.
who?
Those were
Let's see if
not
we can get a
easy.
tie. All right, number 1. What is the name of the French dessert made of fruit, traditionally unpitted black cherries, arranged in a butter dish, covered with thick pourable batter, and then baked to create a crustless tart?
You have to add one more thing to it.
Ooh, little
Chef
powdered sugar.
Thierry's favorite dessert.
Oh,
He loved
Yes.
clafouté.
Yeah, I love it
He
too. It's
did.
so easy to make as
Yeah.
well.
But you have to leave the pits and the cherries or
Yeah,
you're a wuss.
Absolutely.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what he
Mhm.
say. Yep.
Well, they add a little almondiness to
So
it.
it adds
yeah.
a little something. But tell your guests first.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
Or
then
have
call
good
the-
insurance.
And then call the dentist.
yeah. Okay, number 2. Strictly speaking, what is unusual about strawberries, peanuts, and Jerusalem artichokes?
Ooh.
What's unusual about them?
Yeah, like is a strawberry.
Don't give him hints.
Okay.
Well, artichoke and a peanut both grow underground, but the strawberry doesn't. Strawberry has the seeds on the outside. I'm going to say that everyone else likes them but me.
That's a good try. They're all misnomers. Strawberry is not a berry. Peanuts aren't a fruit or a
good
nut.
call. That's
and
a fun one.
Jerusalem artichoke is not an artichoke. So good.
Fun.
Number 3. Which ingredient is wrapped in bacon to create angels on horseback?
Well, you can find it online of all sorts of things, anywhere from a scallop to an oyster.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Oyster is what I was looking for,
Yeah.
but I didn't know. Makes sense. You could do a scallop.
One of those is called Devils on Horseback. Is that the scallop?
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
look at me. Adam.
Maybe they add a little vodka or something.
Why don't you ask Brittany that question?
Should have given her that question.
Number 4. Joseph Darling was an Australian cricketer.
Sweet man.
Oh, there you go.
He was darling.
He was darling. When he led the team in 1899 to England, what did he suggest the teams do that later became a common cricketing tradition?
Break for tea.
Yes, you knew that.
Yes. of course.
Awesome. Okay. Tea breaks. Not by Joseph Darjeeling.
The game is so boring that
they had.
yeah.
Okay, your final question. Can you please name the culinary connection between watermelon, French breakfast, cherry bell, and white icicle?
They're all radishes.
Yes, good job.
Ravishing
Very
radishes.
good.
4 out of 5.
Congratulations, Brittany Bardeleben.
Brittany
You
won.
will never be invited back to our show. And you need to pick out an audience member to go take a free stroll through our gift shop. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a darn ticket and join us in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard is Sean McFadden. And our talented editor at Cairo is Sean, don't call me, Del Torre. If you missed any episode of the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening.
Not Spotify.
Did that sound like Terry?
Beautiful.
Very well done.
I like the Spotify.
Yeah.
She's never going to live that down. That was funny.
All right. I need silence on the set for a minute, Drew. Well, that's not silence. Thank you. Hi, I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Bridget Charters.
Let's try that again, Bridget. Stay with us. Somebody get some toothpicks for the eyelids. I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Bridget Charters.
Today on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we're going to get ready for St. Patrick's Day and corn some brisket. We're going to compare clams for chowder with the Hot Stove Society tasting panel, discuss plant-focused cuisines and dishes, and of course, wrap up the show with Brittany Bardeleben and food for thought tasty trivia.
Perfect.
All right.